Hey, deserving listeners, it's time to continue watching 90 Day Fiancé Happily Ever After. We're going to watch the episode from this week. Let's watch it. My name is Dr. Kirk Honda. I'm a therapist and a professor. As I always say, keep in mind that everything I say is speculative, based on very little information. Let's watch.
All right. I didn't like what you were saying at dinner. That's why I left last night. So.
But you left me alone.
Okay, so let's see how they talk about this. They typically put up walls, meaning that they say the bare minimum, especially him, right? So what do I imagine is going on inside of each of them? Okay, so he described a little bit about it, but I think a more descriptive experience would be for him to say, so honey, you frequently will do stuff like this, but you did this thing last night where we were having a nice dinner and you brought up this thing that happened a long time ago in this sarcastic tone as a way of what? Humiliating me, hurting me. You knew that I didn't want to hear about that kind of thing. And it hurts my feelings. And I don't know what to do in that situation. Maybe I should have talked with you before I left. But I was just overwhelmed and I left. And I'm sorry that I left. I probably shouldn't have done that. But I didn't like what you did. And it really gets to me. It gets under my skin. And I don't know what to do in those situations because I feel like if I say to you, don't say things like that, you're just not going to respect it. And then you just keep doing stuff like this. You said that knowing that it would hurt my feelings and you did it anyway. And that really bothers me. Okay. So something like that. He could also add on to that, presumably if he loves her, honey, I love you and I want to work on this and hopefully you can hear me and I want to work this out. You know, some kind of talk about I have hope for us and I want us to work. Okay. So I'm guessing that's what's going on for him on the inside. And if he were more descriptive, he'd probably go into detail about, because this isn't the first time you've done it. You did it this time. You did it that time. You did it. Okay. Now, from her side, I think a description of her feelings and how she is doing would be something like, so I'm sorry that I said what I said last night. I shouldn't have said it. I was out of line. I think I just have a different sense of humor than you do, and I honestly thought you would laugh when I said what I said. But you're right. I shouldn't have said it, and I should have known that it would have bothered you. So that's on me, and I apologize. Talking about that, talking about someone sending you naked pictures, I don't even know the circumstances of that, but anyway, bringing that up was a bad call. Having said that, I would have rather have you had you stayed at the hotel and we could have talked about it. To just leave like that, it really, really hurts me. For you to just disappear, in those moments, it feels like you don't love me at all. I don't know if you love me, but it feels like you're just completely throwing me away. I don't know if that's the case, but that's how it felt to me. So let's see what they say here.
I know.
Apologize.
I'm not apologizing.
So this is not going to help for one person, and people will frequently do this. They come from a position of, I didn't do anything wrong, you're the one who did something wrong, and they're both saying that to the other person, and they both are saying, you need to apologize. They say, I don't need to apologize, you need to apologize. When a differentiated, healthy way to act is to apologize. Just start the ball rolling. If you apologize first, and you always apologize first, the other person will probably apologize second. So if she were to say, I said something bad last night, I'm sorry, I shouldn't have done that, then he would likely say, oh, thank you. And then he might hopefully say, and I apologize for leaving. Or if he said, honey, I'm sorry I left. That was probably not okay. Then she might follow with, and I'm sorry I said what I said.
Do you feel like this nudie photo thing, does that piss you off a little bit?
She just keeps bringing up stupid old It's just like the wrong time, and it just pisses me off. Like, just let it go. Like, who gives a
So that's good. He's speaking to some of his feelings a little bit. Underneath that frustration and anger is likely hurt or worry. I don't know, but probably hurt. The way she brought it up seemed like it was a jab, seemed like it was something said out of sarcasm to, I don't know, humiliate him, to, I don't know, put him in his place, to put his friends in their place, or something to hurt. And to say that would be more helpful. To say to her, "You're pissing me off, I'm out of here," that doesn't necessarily give her the opportunity to know how it's been impacting you. If he were to say, "Honey, when you say that, it's like a dagger in my heart. It really hurts me that you say things like that. It seems like you're saying it to hurt my feelings." That when we communicate our primary emotions, our hurt and our fears, people are much more impacted by that. Human beings have a lot of empathy, most of us. And if you give people the opportunity, they will rise to the occasion. But if you put up a wall or you just exhibit the secondary emotions of frustration and criticism back, then it doesn't engage in that other person's empathy.
Like, this is something she really, really, really needs to work on, you know? You need to be the one to apologize.
Okay, I was wrong. It was your best. They shouldn't remember it to you. I'm sorry. Sure.
So she often will lead the way when it comes down to it, which is good. And I've always commended her for that. She will lead the way. Now, why do people worry about talking about their primary emotions? Why do people not apologize when they probably should? Well, it's because we, given our past or even the relationship between the two of them, don't trust that the other person will reciprocate. If we apologize, then we really hope the other person will apologize as well, if we believe that we weren't completely at fault. But if we apologize and the other person doesn't reciprocate, that's even worse than if we didn't apologize at all, right? So the very worst case scenario is you apologize and you get vulnerable and you put yourself out there and they don't reciprocate and they don't take care of you. That's the worst. The best is if both of you apologize at the same time. A mid-level is, I'm not going to apologize and I'm going to make them apologize to me first. At the very least, I'm not going to be vulnerable in that situation. But if both people operate from that position, then no, apologies happen, right? But we did see that her apology didn't seem very elaborate. She seemed to be kind of just saying the words. And I talk about this all the time. The components of an effective apology are, the components involve you actually investigating what happened, really knowing what you did wrong and knowing why you did it, and then communicating that to the other person. So something she could say is, "Okay, yeah, I'm sorry that I said that. I'm just really threatened by your friends. I get real insecure sometimes, you know me. And you were saying that, I was saying I wanted to get along with your friends. And I was kind of in a vulnerable place. And then you kind of criticized me and you said, well, you can be harsh sometimes. You can be a jerk face sometimes." And that, I don't know, it was like too much for me in that moment because it was just a lot to kind of take on in that moment. And I was hurt. And then I came back with this insult because since you hurt me, then I wanted to hurt you back. And I was trying to make a joke out of it, but looking back, yeah, it was the wrong thing to do. So I'm not justifying it, but it was, the way you said it to me hurt me. And in the future, I'll try not to overreact. I'll try to say, "Honey, that hurt me in the moment," instead of coming back at you with an insult. I also, like I said, am pretty insecure as a person and will frequently be worried I'm going to lose you to someone else. And I have this thing in my head that one of your past girlfriends or one of your friends that happens to be a woman, that you're going to fall in love with them instead of me. And I know that's not rational, but I'm operating from a place like that often. And so I guess I just need a lot of reassurance that you're not going to leave me for your friends. I guess that's really what is at the core of all this issue. That doesn't excuse what I did yesterday, but it does kind of explain why I did it. And I'm going to really try not to. I'm going to try to be more direct. I'm going to try to be less insecure. But when I am insecure, I'm going to try to just say, "Honey, I'm insecure. Can you reassure me?" So, okay. So if she apologized like that, then I'm guessing that would help. Now, for him, he would have to do a similar thing and really apologize, talk about why he did what he did, talk about his tendencies, talk about his insecurities. He has a lot of insecurities, and his coping mechanism is to avoid. Hey, deserving listeners, as y'all know, I am constantly recommending that people go to therapy. We all need therapy from time to time. Well, one of the options available that is definitely worth checking out is BetterHelp. If you're looking for a therapist, I would give it a try by going to betterhelp.com/Kirk. Make sure you use the promo code Kirk because you get 10% off your first month, and it really helps us out. As you watch these videos, I know many of you have been motivated to find your own therapist, which is great because you deserve it. And I know also that it can be hard to find a good fit, find the right one for you. Well, one of the options available in terms of your shopping is to go to betterhelp.com/Kirk. I've been told you can start communicating with your therapist in under 24 hours. You can message your counselor at any time. Plus, you can schedule weekly video or phone sessions. I've also been told that it's often less expensive than in-person therapy, and you should know that this service is available to clients worldwide. So go to betterhelp.com/Kirk to get 10% off your first month today.
I'm the first person who makes offer to make a peace. Because I'm kind of stubborn, Michael's stubborn, and sometimes it is important to put your egoism behind and try to just move forward into a better place.
Yes, 2 thumbs up to that. She has always done that through all, I think, 3 seasons that I've watched her on. She's always been, she's not super healthy in her communication, but one healthy element of her communication is she often will be the first person to apologize. And he will sometimes reciprocate, but not all the time.
I'm singing an old song. I'm dancing for you. Forgiveness dance. Please.
Would make it rain
I
or
just
something.
acknowledge, Acknowledge is first step to fixing.
Right. So now she is also being healthy by making some jokes, trying to have some levity. That's actually a very healthy thing to do in a tense situation. She's doing a silly dance, kind of making fun of herself in that instance, and that's wonderful. And then she says, the first step is to acknowledge my apology. So, she's really walking him through a conversation right now. I apologized, and then you're supposed to acknowledge it, right? But because of his traumas, I'm guessing, he is so averse to being vulnerable that even acknowledging an apology is too vulnerable to him, too scary. That's just a speculation.
Okay.
Okay, will you accept my apology? Will you?
I'm sure somehow I will. Sometimes I think about Natalie as
So she asks a very direct question from multiple angles, 5 or 6 times. Will you accept my apology? A simple yes, I accept your apology is all you need to say. But he is so afraid, I think, of being vulnerable that he doesn't even say that. What he says is, I'm sure I'll find a way. What does that mean? It's a vague response. I think he lives in the safety of vagary. Vagueness is his safety net. That if he is vague or non-communicative, then he could never be held accountable. He can never be shamed into something. He can never be hurt, or at least on the outside. If you never reveal that you want anything or need anything or are vulnerable to anyone, then when they reject you, you can just act like, look, I wasn't really involved in this relationship anyway. And so you're saving face in that situation, right? And if you take it to an extreme, then you might act like he is.
sour in the beginning and sweet in the end, And it's hard for me to honestly take that apology 100% and believe it. I'm glad that Natalie recognized her faults from last night, and I hope her words are really true and she cannot continue to bring up stuff from the past.
So, as often is the case in the individual interviews, they are more communicative than when they are with each other. He could say something like that. He could say, honey, I accept your apology, but I'm not so sure you're not going to do this again. I'm worried you're going to do this again, and I'm worried that you don't really understand how I feel about this sort of thing. And so I accept your apology for sure, and thank you for apologizing, but I'm worried you're going to do this again because you've done this a lot, and it really, really hurts me. So, you could say that, and then that's the beginning of a conversation. And you could say, and I love you, and I want to be with you, so I hope that you can hear me when I say that when you do stuff like that, it really hurts me.
Can I touch you? Am I allowed? With all my respect and love.
Come on, let's go inside.
Please forgive me.
I said I will forgive you.
Will or you are?
I will forgive you.
Like, when?
Yeah, it's like this total vague. He can't say anything that commits himself to anything. Because I think he's so afraid of being rejected. He would rather just be completely vague. It's like, again, if you're in two scenarios, one you're vague, the other one you're very forthcoming, and you get rejected in both scenarios, I think a lot of people would rather be vague and then rejected, because then they're not making a fool out of themselves. They're even potentially saving face to themselves in terms of they can look themselves in the mirror. So I think he just comes from a place where he just assumes that he's going to be rejected, that she doesn't really love him, and he protects himself by being vague. And it has the opposite effect, where it pushes her away. Or it's a thing that he used for power and control, that if he can say, look, I don't know if I'm going to forgive you for now, but maybe I will. We'll see. So maybe he's going to hold that over her head, which is another thing that people will sometimes resort to when they feel like they can't communicate directly.
After all, she convinced Mike to call off my wedding. I worry a lot because I don't know what to expect.
The headlock. Pain in the ass.
All right, well, that does it for that episode. If you didn't know already, we have merch. You can click on the link below and buy T-shirts and mugs and all sorts of things with various different sayings that people have suggested that we put on the merch, and then my wife designs the thing, and I actually like it. I wear the shirts in public. Does that make me narcissistic? I'm not sure. I'm literally wearing a shirt with my own weird catchphrases, like "Don't be a jerk face" or something. And everyone out there, please take care of yourself, because you deserve it. You really, really do.